Welcome back to MFO, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this Underwater Wednesday episode. We're in the pool today and we've got the Berkley Power Bait Gilly. A lot of guys, this bait's been out for about 3 going on 4 years now. A lot of guys are interested in this. It was a tough bait to get your hands on. We just worked primarily with the smaller 90 size. We're going to tell you all about it. And guys, the rigging, we rigged this bait 6 ways from Sunday. I mean, we did all the traditional things that Mike Iaconelli talks about doing, and we went and did some things that were kind of off the wall. Tried a few core tackle products and things like that to see how that would work. We're going to show it to you all today on Mark Fisher Outdoors. Stick around, guys. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher, and we are in the pool using the Berkley Power Bait Gilly. The first thing you notice when you've got this bait is just how realistic and how lifelike that bait looks. It just moves. It's all serrated along the edge, so it kind of gives a great little action when you've got it here. And boy, I tell you what, lifelike colors. When I was at the tackle store looking at these things, this one is a perch color. They've got the bluegill, or I'm sorry, this is the crappie kind of color. They've got bluegill, and I mean, they're just very lifelike looking. But the question is, what are they like when you get them in the water? And the rigging on these is really kind of wonky. So let's just get right in the pool, and I'm going to show you the way that we rigged them and how they react in the water. So let's get started just with your standard rigging that Mike Iaconelli, it's on the package. He promotes this, and this is just a Texas rigged, but it goes through the side. So you use an EWG hook, come out the nose, it's exposed on the backside, and then the point of your hook actually sits underneath that fin. So there's kind of a weed guard there, and it just sits right there. Okay, so this is a number 2 EWG hook on this little 90 millimeter bait, the little smallest bait that they have. Now let's take a look at what this looks like in the pool. The first look at this rigging is with a nail weight under the chin. And it doesn't always ride perfectly straight. It's probably one of the better, not the best, but one of the better rigging methods available. And my guess is that with each of these baits, you have to just be 100% perfect with the way you place the hook and the way you place the nail weight in order to get that bait to ride vertical every time. And again, this is my first time working with these baits, so I'm gonna take some responsibility if this bait isn't running true. But the thing that I'm noticing right here is that as much as that bait was flopping around outside of the water with very little movement, once you get it in the water, you have to work it relatively quickly in order to get any kind of tail movement. Otherwise, it looks lifelike, but it just kind of sits there. Now, let's switch over to when I took the nail weight out. Still the same rigging, but I took the nail weight out. These baits have an air pocket in them, so they're very buoyant. So the reality is that without any weight, whether it's a nail weight or whether you were gonna put a little slip sinker in front of your EWG hook, that'll get it down. But without any weight at all, this bait rides real close to the surface, as you can tell. A little bit more action, to be honest, but it's because you can work it a little faster, because it's not gonna go down. It's gonna stay floating up near the surface. So when it lands on the surface, you start to reel it and you get a little bit more action. The next rigging that I'm going to show you is on a drop shot. And I liked the way that the drop shot looked. And quite honestly, I like the things that you can do with a drop shot. Bed fishing and fish are absolutely not going to like bluegill type baits in and around the nest. They're egg thieves, they're nest raiders, and they're going to come in and attack, especially a little 90 gilly. So the idea of rigging a short drop shot and putting a little gilly on there is an appealing kind of look. And again, I like the way that it rides. The way I did it, you could just put your hook through the nose of the bait, just like you would if you were walleye fishing and rigging a minnow. But what I did is, if you can see that, I screwed in a little hitchhiker. Let me take it out a little bit so that you can see that. I've got a little hitchhiker screwed in here. And so you screw that hitchhiker all the way into the nose, and then once that hitchhiker is on there, you can just thread your drop shot hook right over the hitchhiker and pull your bait with the drop shot hook in the hitchhiker. And again, this is not correct because I've got too much of that sticking out. I would put that hitchhiker all the way into the bait so that I'm actually going through the plastic into the eye of that hitchhiker when I was doing that. Guys, while we're taking a look at this, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Underwater Wednesday is a staple at Mark Fisher Outdoors. We hope that you guys appreciate the effort that goes into putting out these videos. It's all done so that we can become better fishermen. And so we hope you appreciate that. We hope you'll hit the subscribe button, the like button, and join us every day, Monday through Friday, here on Mark Fisher Outdoors. So the next rig, guys, that I want to talk about is very similar to the drop shot. This was my favorite one out of all of them. I took a weighted wacky rig hook and I used the same setup I did on the drop shot, except this time I just put a weighted wacky rig hook through the bait and nose hooked it that way. Look at this one in the water. This, by far, I think gives the best action out of all of the presentations that I tried. Whether it's the fact that the weight is just a little bit farther up away from the bait, but it lets the body squirm a little bit more. It nose dives down. With the weed guard on that weighted wacky rig hook, I don't think you'd have any problems with, kind of getting into the weeds or getting snagged and things like that. This, out of all of them, guys, this is my favorite rigging technique that I've found so far using the gilly. Now, like I said, I experimented a little bit using some Core Tackle products. I'm not completely sold on it, but one of the things that I did was take the old style of Wacky Shot. This was the one that had the screw lock coming out the back end, not the one that goes, not the long shank or the straight shank Wacky Shot, but the original Wacky Shot. And originally I set it up like this. Well, the bait didn't ride true at all. But when I turned the hook to the side, I got the bait to run true, and so I was able to rig it like this. I've got the weight in the front, and that hook is exposed right where you would want it. Again, I'm not completely sold, but it might be something that we experiment around a little bit. When I used the weighted wacky rig, I thought, well, I got to try the Core Tackle weighted wacky shot and see. I'm still going with the weighted wacky rig just because when you have that screw lock, it pulls that weight farther away from the bait. In this circumstance, I think that helps a little bit more. Now, the final bait that I've got, I put in a tush rig, the ultimate swim bait hook. I tried this all over the place. I tried to put the ultimate swim bait hook going up with the hook here, and the bait rode sideways, upside down, everything else. But as soon as I rigged it upside down and put it this way, because in this, remember I told you that this bait has an air pocket in it up at the top, but the bottom of the bait is solid. So as soon as I rigged the tush through the solid part of the bait, I got the bait to run straight. Do I like the hook on the bottom like that? Not particularly, but it runs okay. The bottom line is you're looking at these baits with all the different riggings that we did. I'm not completely sold that this Berkley Gilly really gives enough action to match how good it looks out of the package. This bait right here looks great. This bait in the water doesn't really give the action that I was hoping for. Again, guys, I'm curious as to whether maybe I'm not working the baits right. Again, I've had an hour doing this. This is the first time I've ever had these and tried them out. If you've got suggestions or if you have insight in terms of how your baits have worked or what's worked better, I'd love to hear from you. Personally, not really sold on the Gilly. Not really knowing that I think that this is the look is phenomenal, but is the look the gimmick that gets you to buy the bait, and then the bait doesn't actually catch fish because it doesn't have the action that you think it's going to have? That's my question to you guys. You guys look at this, tell me, and I'd love to get your feedback on that. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in to Mark Fisher Outdoors, and we will see you again tomorrow for another episode. Take care.